Jenna is a high school English teacher. She is competent and well-liked by her students, but her personal life is quite messy. She often turns to alcohol and casual relationships to numb her emotional pain. Due to her effective teaching, Principal Rick Mills encourages her to apply for the head of English position, which she does. After class, Jenna notices Lizzie, the school's queen bee, mocking Kyle, a scholarship student. For his less privileged background, Jenna encourages Kyle, praising him for not getting back at Lizzie's childish jokes. Returning to her classroom, Jenna discovers that her phone, which had been charging, is now missing. Later, Kyle asks her for help in preparing for his audition for the National Youth Theater and she agrees. Despite being well-liked by most of her colleagues and students, Jenna has a few enemies. One of them is Nina, another English teacher. Nina is also Lizzie's mother. She confronts Jenna for giving Lizzie's paper a low grade, claiming that the work was perfect. Jenna implies that the paperwork looks so perfect that it almost seems like Nina did it for Lizzie. Tensions rise as Jenna accuses Nina of being a helicopter mom, and Nina strikes back by attacking Jenna's messy personal life. Jenna also appears to have anonymous enemies. One time Rick showed her a malicious email the school received about her. Soon Jenna interviews for the head of the English department position with the board. She feels discontented with how it went and agrees to meet up with Jack, a married but inappropriate colleague. However, Jack stands her up, and Jenna decides to go to a club instead. The next day, Rick informs Jenna that she has been selected for the head of English position. That evening, the teachers gather at a pub to celebrate her promotion. As everyone gets tipsy and starts to head home, Jenna convinces her work bestie, Pauline, to join her at a club called Lazarus to keep the night going. At the event, Jenna meets some of her former students and feels very happy. To her surprise, she also sees Kyle there. Later, as Pauline has to leave, Jenna ends up getting very drunk, and everything becomes a blur to her. The next morning, Jenna wakes up at home with a severe hangover and prepares to go to work. However, at school, she notices that her colleagues are acting strangely toward her. Rick informs her that she has been suspended following an accusation of inappropriate behavior involving a student. Jenna is shocked and asks Rick for more details, but he cannot provide any because the matter is still under investigation. As Jenna heads to her car, the police arrive and ask her to come with them to the station. Detective Inspector Sowerby interrogates Jenna about the previous night, but Jenna can't remember anything clearly. She eventually learns that she is accused of hooking up with Kyle in the club's bathroom. Jenna is frantic when she hears the accusation against her and denies it, saying that she is certain she would never do something like that. However, Sowerby seems to believe Jenna is guilty and tells her she must undergo forensic exams. Jenna returns to the school with the intention of confronting Kyle. However, Kyle's mother happens to be there and attacks Jenna, calling her a pedo. At home, Jenna receives a message from Kyle checking up on her and saying that he enjoyed their encounter. Jenna is astounded and begins to doubt herself, wondering if she might have actually done what she's accused of. The press begins swarming Jenna's house, and news about her is all over television. Even the man at the grocery store in her neighborhood acts inappropriately towards her. At school, Kyle is teased by his classmates, and his social media is flooded with crude jokes about him and Jenna. Nina takes the opportunity to badmouth Jenna to Pauline and Jack, but Jack makes it clear that Jenna's case is still under investigation. Jenna goes to see her lawyer, Ava. Ava informs her that there is no forensic evidence from either her or Kyle, but there is CCTV footage of them entering the bathroom together. When Jenna returns home, a group of thugs corners and harasses her before she can get inside. That night, they surround her house and bang on her door. One even urinates through the mail slot. Jenna tries to stop them but trips. She hides and calls the police, but when the operator asks for her address, she can't bring herself to say it because her name is all over the news, and she feels ashamed. At least the thugs overhear her calling the police, so they leave. The next day, Jenna wakes up to find her car vandalized, and some neighbors give her disgusted looks. She then goes to Ava again. Ava thinks Kyle's statement seems weak, and it would be easy to break him under cross-examination. He also has a questionable background with a violent mother, while Jenna has a pristine record and outstanding achievements. Ava also shows Jenna a fanfic website where students post about teachers they find attractive. Jenna's name is listed, along with pictures students secretly took of her during class. Ava plans to use this as evidence to argue that the environment among the students was not as innocent as it seems. After what happened last night, Jenna decides to stay with her dad for a while, even though they don't have a great relationship. Jenna was always closer to her mom, but she has already passed away. Bad news strikes Jenna again when Ava informs her that the police found revealing pictures sent from a messaging app on her phone to Kyle's. Jenna insists this couldn't have happened, but the evidence suggests otherwise. Jenna heads out to see Jack in secret. She asks him to send a message to Kyle, but Jack feels insulted, thinking Jenna is really interested in Kyle, and refuses to help. Jenna meets with Ava again, telling her she still can't remember anything from that night, so whatever Kyle says must be the truth. She believes he's a good kid and doesn't want him dragged through the mud as they face trial. Jenna herself starts to believe she may have messed up that night, bringing up her own past mistakes as examples. At this point, she agrees to plead guilty to the charge of abusing a position of trust. On the day Jenna pleads guilty, her dad goes off on a trip. What a supportive dad. Jenna's sentence is suspended for 6 months, and she's required to perform public community service. She feels this is worse than prison because now everyone can see her, but it's the best outcome she could hope for. Jenna also is banned from teaching for 10 years. Devastated, Jenna gets drunk and walks up to a cliff, contemplating jumping off, but she changes her mind at the last minute. Instead, she returns home, gets more drunk, and dances to loud music. Her dad comes home furious after hearing that Jenna pled guilty. He insults her while she provokes him, telling him that she knows he's secretly enjoying the fact that she messed up. Her dad suddenly almost has a heart attack, and Jenna stops taunting him and starts worrying. He takes his medicine while telling Jenna to get lost and saying she's just like her mother. Jenna loses it again and tells him she won't make his life easier by ending her life like her mother did. Soon after, Jenna starts her community service. During a break, she sees Kyle walking by and chases after him to apologize for what she did. Even though she doesn't remember anything, Kyle's response is strange. He tells her she wasn't supposed to plead guilty. Before Jenna can understand what he means, he jogs away. That evening, Di Sowerby visits Jenna at her house to warn her about leaving during her community service. Jenna asks Sowerby if she hadn't pled guilty, would she still have been convicted. Sowerby refused to give her an answer but mentions that the revealing photos were sent from a fake account before the incident happened. Jenna thinks she might have been drunk and done something foolish, but she's sure she wasn't trying to seduce Kyle. Jenna slowly realizes Kyle might have lied and calls Ava. Jenna now works the night shift in a warehouse. She returns early in the morning to find a package addressed to her. It's a school brochure, but it has inappropriate images stuck to it. Jenna wants to move on, but someone doesn't want her to. She confides in Pauline when they meet at a charity event. Jenna expresses her suspicions that Kyle lied and conspired with someone to ruin her life, and she doesn't understand his motives. Meanwhile, Kyle receives messages on his burner phone asking to talk, but he refuses because his mom is home and is suspicious after hearing the phone's noise. At home, Jenna reviews her case files. She watches the CCTV footage and wonders why Kyle came to find her in the bathroom before they both entered together. From his statement, she also realizes that Izzy is actually Kyle's girlfriend. Jenna asks to meet with Jack again and requests that he track down the malicious emails about her. This time, he agrees. When Jenna goes to her dad's house to pick up her remaining belongings, she finds him hanging out with Sean, her ex. Feeling awkward, she leaves and tells him she'll come back another day. She also mentions her suspicions about Kyle, but her dad doesn't believe her and shuts the door in her face. Jack soon discovers the sender of the hate emails. It's none other than Nina. Jenna confronts Nina, who, although she denies sending the emails, openly expresses her jealousy of Jenna. Nina believes that Jenna has had everything easy in life because her dad was a well-respected teacher. Now, with Jenna gone, Nina has become the head of English, and Jenna's scandal has actually benefited her career. However, she denies any involvement with Kyle. The next day, Jenna confronts Izzy. At first, Izzy seems annoyed with Jenna, but when Jenna urgently states that she just wants to find the truth, Izzy reveals that Kyle has been acting weird and distant recently. She also mentions that on the night of the incident, someone texted Kyle before he went to the club. Jenna insists that she doesn't have Kyle's number, so it couldn't have been her, but Izzy doesn't seem to care. Jenna goes back to Lazarus, hoping to remember anything, but her memory remains very hazy. Meanwhile, Kyle continues texting the unknown person from his burner phone, informing them about Jenna and Izzy's encounter and worrying that Jenna will go to the police. While he's texting, Nina confiscates his phone since they're in class. Jenna receives a package at her new job, which contains CDs with bizarre videos that include secretly recorded montages of her. She keeps wondering who texted Kyle to go to Lazarus that night but can't find the answer. From the Lazarus club manager and by checking the CCTV footage, she learns that Jack went to Lazarus to pick her up the night of the incident. She goes confront him about that. Jack admits he went to pick her up after she rang him that night, but he doesn't know anything more. Nina reads the messages on Kyle's burner phone and informs his mom. They both realize Kyle lied and set Jenna up, but for their own benefit, they decide to keep it a secret. Nina returns the phone to Kyle's mom, insisting that Kyle stay away from Izzy. Meanwhile, creepy packages start arriving at Jenna's dad's house. Jenna thinks someone is out to get her and wants to torment her, but her dad doesn't believe her. Jenna feels devastated that no one is on her side. Kyle's mom confronts him about the phone and the person manipulating him, forcing Kyle to promise he won't contact that person again. Jenna talks to Sean about the situation, and he brings up their time teaching at Hillsden. He reminds her that she was always righteous and wouldn't let any wrongdoing happen. This rings a bell in Jenna's mind. She goes to Kyle's house and finds him sneaking out to meet another man. She follows them but eventually loses sight of them. Back home, she looks at the mocking brochure again and notices a picture featuring a uniform with the Hillsden logo. Meanwhile, Pauline is getting dinner ready for her boyfriend Brian, who comes home late that night. Jenna returns to Hillsden to ask about the guy in the picture. The man was one of her colleagues named Cleary, who went to jail after sleeping with a student and running off with her. The deputy head is an old student of Jenna's, and he makes fun of her for her scandal, criticizing her for being too friendly with students. Jenna believes it's important for teachers to build good connections with their students and tells him that the boy in her case lied. She then asks him for Cleary's contact information. Kyle refuses to take his exam and is too oblivious to understand that he ruined a teacher's life. Jenna decides to move and asks Pauline to help her donate most of her belongings to charity. She receives Cleary's information from the deputy head at Hillsden and opens the file with Pauline present. Jenna was the one who reported Cleary after noticing his inappropriate closeness with a student. That's how the investigation began, revealing that he had groomed the student. However, Jenna was unaware because she left the school shortly after the investigation started. In Cleary's letter, Jenna sees her name mentioned with hatred as the person who started all his misery. Pauline urges Jenna to move on and stop dwelling on the past. But when Jenna goes to gather clothes for donation, Pauline looks at the file and realizes Cleary is Brian, her boyfriend. She decides to keep this information to herself and secretly takes a copy of Cleary's passport. Jenna visits her dad and finds him emotional in front of her mom's photos. New strange packages have been sent to him, and he starts to believe Jenna's situation and offers to help her. She feels moved and apologizes to him for her past behavior. Jenna continues her investigation by meeting with Denise, the student who was groomed by Cleary. Denise, now a grown woman, still insists that Cleary didn't manipulate her. She believes they were in love. Denise gets upset when she learns that Jenna was the first person to report Cleary. Meanwhile, Kyle and his mom argue about their next steps. Kyle overhears that Jenna is going around asking the police to reopen her case. When his mom tells him that if that happens, he should expose the man who manipulated him to set Jenna up, Kyle continues to protect him, insisting that he's a good person and that Jenna is the evil one. Kyle then shows up at Jenna's door and admits that he lied, stole her phone, and downloaded a messaging app to send himself her pictures. He also pretended to be sick at the club knowing Jenna would take him to the bathroom, and the CCTV could capture them entering the bathroom together. However, he still claims that he acted alone. Jenna asks him why he did this to her and tells him she won't go to the police until he exposes the person behind his actions, as she doesn't want his future to be ruined. Meanwhile, Cleary finds his passport photo at Pauline's house and realizes she knows his true identity. Kyle then calls Cleary to inform him about Jenna's actions and asks to meet up. Jenna finishes packing and is about to leave when she receives a text from Pauline inviting her over for a cup of tea. Not thinking much of it, Jenna heads there, unaware that Cleary is waiting for her with a hammer. Cleary tries to justify his actions, claiming his relationship with Denise was mutual, but Jenna dismisses this, saying it can't be mutual until someone is over 18. He then accuses Jenna of ruining his life and family. When Jenna asks why he involved Kyle in his plan, Cleary admits they didn't expect her to plead guilty to protect him. Jenna questions why he specifically targeted her for revenge, despite others being involved in his case, and realizes Cleary always preys on vulnerable people, viewing them as easy targets. Cleary then leaves the house, and Jenna finds Pauline hiding in the back. Pauline apologizes for recommending Cleary as Kyle's tutor, admitting she didn't expect him to be such a monster. When Jenna steps outside, she sees Cleary standing in front of her car. He tells her he went on the same excursion with Jenna's dad and her dad never mentioned her. Jenna doesn't mind and tell him she will move on and continue living, unlike him. Suddenly, Cleary throws himself in front of a passing truck and dies. With Cleary gone, Jenna's name is finally cleared, and she returns to school and forgive Kyle for what he did.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe and like for more videos like this.